Alrighty, welcome back everyone. It is LaughNgamez here. I'm back with another Starcraft 2 1 versus 1 bot AI cast. And we have got ourselves what should be a good one here today. Forgive me, just adjusting the microphone a little bit. I have two microphone modes. I'm either casting and I have the microphone right in my face, or I have it a little bit off to the side when I'm doing other things on the computer or talking to people, because it does actually block a little bit of my vision unless I'm in like caster pose mode. Anyway, yes, we have got what should be a fun match. You guys requested to see some more of the lower level bots, and well, yeah, lower is a fair way to put it. Not as high on the ladder, but still very cool projects. And so we've got Sharkling, the Zerg cousin of Sharkbot, going to be taking on the old but gold TyrT. And I don't know if calling TyrT old really is fair, as it has received some updates within the past year. And it's quite a staple in the bot scene, as it's a pretty solid bot. And yes, so we have got a Terran bot that's apparently going for a build called TVZ the Brick, and then a Sharkling bot with a very interesting description. So let me just go ahead and pull that one up, as it does have quite a funny description. Sharkling says, I got my first kill on a Marine while I was still morphing in my cocoon. I snuck out while the queen was spreading creep, and by the time I hatched, I was an assassin. My major accomplishments include becoming the second youngest metamorph of all time, licking the South Pole of Ire without getting my tongue stuck, and plucking all the whiskers off a charging zealot off creep without taking any damage. I didn't know zealots have whiskers, but there you go. And then other details like I use the Sharpie framework and Sharpie machine learning. Sharkling was last updated March 15th, 2025. And yeah, just a cool Zerg bot. Tyr is going for a Reaper. Scouting out, we'll see if it can get any damage done with that while I do go ahead and pull up Tyr's description. It actually has no description, just a Terran bot written in .NET Core, which I believe means C++, I want to say. Or it could be some other language, but I believe C++ shows up as .NET Core. But don't quote me on that. Created July 8th, 2020, last updated November 30th, 2024. Sharkling last updated the 15th of March, 2025. I might have already said that, but it is also a .NET Core bot, so potentially C++ or some other language. And yes, we've got Sharkling saying, prepare yourself, Tyr. My Colossi just got a height boost. So that's a bit of gibberish. Anyway, we do have this map already filling up with units here, as Sharkling is just establishing a presence, making quite a few lings, looking to poke Tyr a little bit. Tyr, meanwhile, has got a third command center on the way already, so that's good to see. And then producing lots of Hellions, which should definitely be good against the lings of Sharkling. As these lings, look at that, very cool movement on them, as they're all controlled independently, but that means they may all run to their death independently. They may get a few bites off on that Marine, but in the end, Tyr does handle that very effectively. The Terran bot is being quite greedy here, getting a third command center up on location, and then just being on 29 SCVs, but the Zerg bot is also just on 34, as it's going for a 2-base Spire play. But oh man, things could be bad for Sharkling here, as Hellions of Tyr do think about coming on in, but then they change their mind. The Queen is doing a good job zoning them out, and this is one of the things you have to consider as a bot author. You can program Hellions to bob and weave and avoid units all day, but if you do want to get them to do damage at mineral lines, you're going to have to make them dive. But it looks like that Tyr is just programmed to be more passive with these Hellions. Killing the Lings as they come out is still good value. And the Hellions are like, oh, we want to go in, but that Queen, she's really saving Sharkling's bacon. They do cut up a drone as now Tyr comes on in with a Liberator as well, looking to harass a little bit. And then just powering off of these 3 bases, but soon enough Sharkling will be able to produce a decent number of mutas. They could very well help deal with this Liberator. Liberation Zone going to go down. Are the drones going to run? The answer is no. They are all just going to die to this Liberator, so that is quite painful. Mutas should potentially be able to deal with that, but Sharkling is going to lose a lot of workers to this Liberator. And that's the thing. Liberators aren't necessarily like a direct unit presence. They don't tickle drones. They kill them in one shot. And so no response program from Sharkling is very painful. Hellions on the front are still poking this hatchery. The one Queen is really doing a good job zoning them out, but now we've got mutas popping on out for Sharkling. They're afraid of the Liberator, though. They really need not fear that Liberator, as I'm pretty sure like 1 or 2 mutas can absolutely kill that. Looks like the Hellions do scoot out for Tyr. So that will allow Sharkling to come back into this game, and it's going to have to macro hard if it wants to stay alive in this match, as it took, oh gosh, how many worker kills? 30 dead worker kills. A 3rd base is now on the way for Sharkling, but Tyr has got that 3rd up and established. So mutas are going to need to get lots of damage done by the Zerg bot. And yes, then we do have a couple more Queens on the way, so maybe some creep spread going to be established for Sharkling. The Zerg bot gets supply blocked, losing an Overlord, and the Muta count is rising, so we'll see what they're going to do. I wonder if it's waiting for a certain amount of mutas before moving out. They're very nicely clumped up, and now they do begin that process of flying around. Where they're going to go, I'm not sure. However, yes, the pressure will definitely be on these mutas to distract Tyr, to get some economic damage done. And as Tyr is building up into a very scary Terran army. So we'll see what these mutas are going to get established, coming down to the bottom, grouping up, and then moving on in towards Tyr's side of the map, as Tyr's just throwing up more racks, getting 1-1 on the way. And this is what I mean by Tyr being a very standard but strong Terran bot. Marines are going to stim to try and pursue the mutas. Looks like they're all controlled independently, avoiding that threat. And yeah, Marines do have a very hard time chasing down mutas if the mutas are microed correctly. Any Terran player can attest to this, but that one muta that took damage does actually get caught, so that's a bit unfortunate for Sharkling, as the mutas do actually just head on home after that misendeavor. So not quite the damage that Sharkling wanted getting done. The Zerg bot is still expanding like mad while this is going on. And then let's see, Marines for Tyr, they are now looking beefy with Combat Shield, killing off an Overlord. There's still very minimal ground, well, there's actually no ground units for Sharkling. It's strictly building mutas. And so we'll see whether it can actually get that up or not, as these mutas do tend to, well, they're still required to get a lot of damage done. Creep spread for Sharkling is quite nice. And then they are flying towards this natural base, which is rather undefended. Tyr's going for an attack, so Sharkling could be in a little bit of trouble, but these mutas can definitely find some potential damage, and they're going to do that, just starting to kill off lots of SCVs. Tyr is a very aggressive bot, so it doesn't seem that it's going to go home. Mutas are going to find a random Marine that's rallied on out, but it looks like the Mutts are actually going to try and defend this, which is the worst possible thing that they could do, as Marines for Tyr are still kind of strewn out all over the place. Tanks and just such a beefy Terran force kill off that hatchery. Now Sharkling can afford to lose a few hatcheries if it can get some good counter damage done, and it's getting a little bit done, just maybe not killing these SCVs as quickly as possible. But that's a difficult thing to program, is lethality with mutas. They're a unit where you've got to be very aware of what's going on. We have got Tyr rolling on in towards the natural, as Sharkling is just going to be losing one of its most important bases. The main will probably be after that. There is a chance that these mutas could somehow cripple Tyr's economy, maybe win a base race if there's like a hidden hatchery, something like that. And so With Mutas, there's always a chance here, as lots of SCVs are going down. There's 38 left, though, for Tier. Tier's also getting a 4th base on location. The Terran bot is just producing more and more units. Sharkling having a bit of a tough time here. As the Spire goes down as well, the Zerg bot is still mining a little bit, but oh no, it's deciding to go for a drone transfer, as I guess its main base has been gutted. Fortunately, those drones do elect to turn around. Mutas find the 4th base of Tyr, but Tyr is still building on up. A Viking will be found and killed, transferring SCV. There's potential for Sharkling to kill Tyr with these Mutas if it's given enough time, as the Mutas, they are avoiding the big threats, killing off reinforcements, and then Sharkling does still have plenty of bases. Tyr didn't kill a single extractor, so it turns its entire army around. It has to now engage some sort of scouting mode in order to see where the rest of Sharkling's stuff is. Queens are coming forward. Muta is going to find this base once again, as the Zerg bot is actually doing a good job rebuilding here, getting a spawning pool up, producing a new hatchery. Unfortunately, it does only have 5 drones out. Make that 1 drone, make that no drones, as the last of the drones do die for Sharkling. It then spends some of its last money on a few Zerglings, so it really is pretty much all on these Mutas, which are chasing down 1 tank. Yes, it does seem that Tyr is going to probably take this one, as Sharkling, like, the Mutas just haven't quite been efficient enough. They've been flying around, losing lots of attacking time, and that's the difficulty with programming Mutas. Like, they're objectively doing their job. They're avoiding the main threats. They're picking off units and getting damage done. But when it comes to a base race like this, you definitely need a very specific set of circumstances. Tyr's army is still coming on back. The Terran bot, though, has done a great job keeping its economy going. It has actually been able to just replace the SCVs that it's lost. We've now got SCVs killing a queen, and then Sharkling is still just being chased around, but there's no production left for the Zerg bot, so it's just a matter of time until Tyr finds all these bases. Muta does actually get hunted down and killed, and so things are looking very, very difficult for Sharkling. So a bit of an unfortunate showing from the Zerg bot, just taking too much damage early on. The Muta play is very cool. We don't see Mutas from a lot of Zerg bots. The Mutts are like, oh, we can fight these Marines, whereas they definitely cannot. 2-2 Marines are no joke. And so that means, ladies and gentlemen, that we are going to go into a bit of a micro battle in this game. I do believe I forgot to set it, though, or to say it, pardon me. Click that like button if you haven't already. If we can get 1 like on this video for every Marine, 50 likes, that would be great. Leave a comment down below. Let me know whether you guys do want to see more of these different bots that are on the ladder. I generally do cast the bots that I think have the more back and forth games, and unfortunately that is a bit of a risk, where if you cast bots that have had less development, you're more likely going to have derps or sort of sweeps. So I have put out a request to bot authors to send in replays, because, I mean, bots that are lower on the ladder do definitely have cool games. Still, just, you kind of got to sift through more games to find the real gems, which pre-screening replays isn't something that I do, because I think it takes the hype out of casting. But I'll load us into that micro battle. All right, so this match, we have actually got it pretty much all about Sharkling, as both of these bots are programmed by the same author, Quarkling, and Sharkles, the best microbot. We're going to see how these two handle each other. Look at all those link clicks, as they do set up what is pretty much a perfect surround on the Zealots. The Zealots, though, nicely grouped up against this, and they do actually take the fight. Wow, that really was an impressive setup for this micro battle. Ling's doing their mass click, 80,000 APM looking to get set up. It's almost like a wave looking to surround the Zealots. The Zealots, though, they do move forward. I don't think they're quite as grouped up, but look at that. They do try and group up in this engagement. And so this one is much closer. The Zerg bot actually does take this one. So currently 1-1. We've now got Stalkers taking on just roaches. The roaches do not have speed, but they are on creep, so they are going to just dive on top of these stalkers. Stalkers microing back as well as they can. They really need to split up as well as possible. They're not doing a horrible job here, as it's currently 6 roaches to 6 stalkers. That's going to be another dead stalker, though. But yeah, really good job by the stalkers fanning out. And so I think they will take this one, as Sharkles does a good job handling all of those units. Now, stalkers and roaches, once more, it's going to depend on the initial engagement. It's 11 roaches to 9 stalkers. The roaches do charge forward, kill off 1 stalker. That's another one dead, just like that. Yes, quite a few of these stalkers have fallen. The roaches are moving forward. It's low numbers on both sides. 3 against 3. The roaches really are minimizing their travel time as they just fire and then just walk forward basically on top of the opponent unit. The target fire from Sharkles isn't quite perfect, but I think this one stalker should be able to save the day. As yes, Sharkles is able to take it. Now we've got Zealots and Stalkers against Banelings and Lings. This will be an interesting one here, as the Banelings are going to try and crash forward. Both groups fanning out in a line. The Lings do move forward. The Banelings are being target fired. They're looking for a good connection. I'm not sure they're going to find it. The Lings are getting lots of damage done on the Zealots as the Zealots retreat, but the Zerg army really is thinning out here. So well done by Sharkles, dragging that fight out to get the win. And so, yes, Quarkling, I think, probably wants to lead with the Banelings, if anything. I don't know. But we do see that Sharkles wants to split up its army. Lings are moving forward. The Banelings are all chasing after 1 Zealot. And so, I mean, they actually get some decent connections with that one, as a few of the Zealots were grouped up. There's still 3 Banelings, forcing these Stalkers back. There's a decent number of Lings left. All the Banes are gone. 5 Lings against 2 Stalkers, but the Stalkers are constantly moving to minimize damage and, well, maximize damage output. And so the Lings, like, they actually have to move between every attack, which really reduces their DPS. Now, this time we do have Roaches and Lings against Adepts and Stalkers. This is quite a bit of Zerg, but I mean, Adepts are no joke. Shades being tossed on out. I'm not sure how effective those will be. A couple Roaches are actually slacking. I think they're being messed with by the Adept Shades. And so all of a sudden the Lings are gone and it's just Roaches. So they do get on top of one of the Adepts, going to be looking to kill another. But the Stalkers really are the main threat in this situation. So they are going to kill one of them. But it is just too much Protoss. Sharkles showing us that it is indeed the top micro bot, as the Adepts deal so little damage, but the 1 Stalker does help clean that up. Quarkling, once again, Roaches and Lings against Adepts and Stalkers. We'll see. If it can pick off a few Stalkers, things might look better for it. That should be the main thing. And look at that. 1 Stalker does go down right out the gate, but the Adept Shades really do mess with the pathing of Quarkling, so I'm not sure we can expect it to win when it does not account for that. And it goes to show that there is lots of fine-tuning that needs to be done if you're going to program a micro bot, because all the unit compositions have little nuances. And so, yes, well done, as Sharkles is going to take yet another one, just absolutely dominating in this micro battle. This time we have Queens and Roaches against more Stalkers. The Stalkers actually have Blink this time, so we'll see if Quarkling actually does transfuse. It's actually being fairly defensive this time, as the Zerg bot does push forward. Transfuse is being dumped into the Roaches. All of a sudden the Queens are pretty much out of energy though, and look at that, the beautiful Blink micro from Sharkles, just minimizing the damage these Stalkers possibly take. Some of the Roaches are getting on top of these Stalkers to the right side, but look at that, the Stalkers are just dodging shots. They like their Neo. And yes, that is just a phenomenal trade from Sharkles, showing us how it's done. Despite being on creep, the Roaches just were not able to close the distance, and that's the power of bot micro. I think the Stalker probably showcases that the best, so we'll see if Quarkling can do something a little bit different in this one. as Sharkles does move forward. Roaches and Queens going to do what they can. But look at that. They try and target one Stalker, and then it's just retreating. The transfuses are gone so quickly. I mean, they do save a few of the units, but, like, the Stalkers, they take damage, and then they are out of there. Like, these two, they should just be able to blink back and save themselves. Now the Roaches are going to the south towards the biggest group of the Stalkers. Quite a few of these are caught in the corner, though, which is a little bit precarious for Sharkles. However, the numbers are still looking very, very good for the toss. And yes, what an absolute monster Sharkles is. This bot, it's like the -0 of the micro arena, as it just wins so many of its games. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks so much for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Send me your replays if you're a bot author, and if you do want to support these daily casts, consider becoming a YouTube member. I do apologize if there was the odd mute, as I do believe I'm fighting off a cold or something. But yes, I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching.